everyone, welcome back to the Superhero Show. Now, for ages we assumed Ben Affleck was directing a Batman movie. Recently confirmed, everyone's like, oh, we thought that was happening anyway.
Yep.
And in light of Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad coming this summer, we want to talk about what we really want from that Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I really want it to be a prequel.
Okay.
I don't want it to happen concurrent with the events of after Dawn of Justice and fitting it in between Justice League, because I feel like that's so big. And if we think Darkseid's involved and the entire fabric of reality is under threat, I don't want Batman doing stuff on the side. And I want to find out how Ben Affleck's Batman got to that place that we see him in Dawn of Justice, because he's in a really bad place, and the events of that movie almost bring him out of that, where he's starting to see the good in humans again. And I want to see how he got to that kind of lowest ebb. So I really hope it's set maybe not much before, maybe 5 years before the events of Dawn of Justice. I think that's a really cool period to set that movie in.
But I don't like a prequel.
You don't
you know my feelings on the prequel, the lack of tension sometimes. If you know that certain people can't die, I would add to that.
Okay.
Maybe I'd like to see a film that jumps back and forth in time.
Okay.
So sort of working towards the same place. Kind of like, unfortunately, the person that's really good at doing those films is Chris Nolan, but something that gives us his past, but also his present, and kind of they can inform each other.
So the thing is also, the big narrative gap in Dawn of Justice relating to Batman, well, one of the big ones is the Robin memorial. So we know that Joker killed him at some point, and I guess that kind of relates to what you're saying. If they go back and necessarily do that story, you know what's happening. You know at some point that Robin is going to die. So I don't necessarily think he needs to do that story. I almost think go back sooner, because they're going to make more than one Batman movie. You could almost save that. And I want to get attached to that Robin. You've never seen a really good Robin movie. We had Chris O'Donnell, and those movies are what they are. Nolan cheekily winked at the end of his trilogy. It'd be awesome to see a Batman on screen with a Robin that's kind of his worthy partner.
And I agree with you to some extent in that I think I said it on here, but it still annoys me that I felt like there were like 4 good movies all splashed together in Dawn of Justice to make one not so good movie. And the fact that he's killing people, I'd love to see what's driven him to do that. And in that interview I did with Snyder, he kind of alluded to the fact it was partly because of losing Robin. But a whole film could be dedicated to what pushes this guy who won't kill people to finally killing someone.
Branding people.
Yeah.
He's going around branding people like cattle.
The Robin thing, if they didn't go back in time, you could be explored during the Under the Red Hood storyline. Scott Snyder, wasn't it, that one? Yeah. That would be interesting. If we've got all these powerful beings from other planets and things, why couldn't Robin, whichever one it is, if it is Jason Todd, be resurrected from the Lazarus pit and brought back to life and be fighting crime in his own way? Also,
with the kind of version of the DC universe they're doing on screen now, I feel like they can incorporate these more fantastic elements. They're going there, they're embracing those stuff that Nolan had to heavily adapt and bring within his kind of realistic take. They can just put that stuff right out there.
Yeah.
Also, I really like to see them do another iconic Batman villain that hasn't really been done on the big screen.
I quite agree. Someone new, definitely someone new.
There's so many great ones out there. And even if you want maybe Ben Affleck's first Batman movie to be more centered on him, there's loads of just more psychopaths that you could use, whether it's someone from Black Mirror, another Scott Snyder. I think look to Scott Snyder as well. His run on Batman over the last kind of 4 or 5 years has been seminal. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
Just look to them for cues. Adapt something recent. Civil War, it's not a straight adaptation, but kind of reflects what's currently happening in the Marvel Universe to a degree. They should take cues from some of DC's writers, because they know those characters better than anyone.
Hush is one I was thinking about when I was thinking about who I'd like to see. Hush, Hugo Strange is someone else. There's some really cool characters that maybe aren't the larger-than-life sort of over-the-top villains that the Penguin and the Riddler and the Joker are, that could have a more grounded Batman story.
I bloody love kind of a loose adaptation of Long Halloween. Something like a year-long case or something like that. Really get into the detective, you know, the detection of it, and like this big unsolved mystery that's resolved not over a couple of weeks, but a really long time span. I think that could be really cool as well.
Yeah, well, when we came up with this, the first thing I wrote down was detective. You know, it's Detective Comics. We've said it before on this show. We had lots of emails saying that. Let's see him solving a mystery. Let's see him doing what Batman does best. It's great seeing him kick ass, and we have done in so many films up to this point. Let's see him using his brain a little bit more.
Do you think any depiction on the big screen has got close to that? Because I remember in The Dark Knight, they tried to make a more concerted effort of him being a detective. There's a bit where he analyses a crime scene and he analyses the ballistics of a gun, and he's in his lab working out the trajectory. And he tries to do that stuff, but ultimately, I always feel like it takes a back seat to other elements. Do you think there's any particular depiction that's done that well? Like, even Dawn of Justice tries to do it. There's lots of like hunting stuff down, putting together clues, him kind of infiltrating, planting bugs. But
yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't sing to me.
I think a really great twisty-turny mystery hasn't been done yet. And maybe you could set it up over a trilogy, something with maybe the Court of Owls in the background and a huge conspiracy happening in Gotham that he's slowly but surely kind of working his way through.
I hope that's the kind of time frame they're planning on as well, because you could do one mystery that feels standalone with Affleck's first movie, second movie, do Jason Todd, have them getting murdered, and then a third one set later, because you've established who Jason Todd is to a wider audience, you could do the reveal of him as a villain.
I'd love it if there was an Affleck Batman movie every other year, and then in the in-between ones, there was adaptations of the 66 Batman, like a light-hearted comedy version.
You've seen some of the stuff they're doing with the 66 Batman in comics?
Yeah.
Like brilliant stuff, like crossovers with Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the old green... was kind of a spin-off. Yeah, I mean, there's so much potential here. Please get it right.
Yeah.
How long have we got to wait?
A few years.
Too long.
Too bloody long. Right, feedback.
I just remembered, I said I was going to ask you 3 questions about Civil War.
Oh, go on then.
So we're going to do our Civil War spoiler show next week, we promise. So these are spoilery, not that I haven't thought of them though. What did you think of Martin Freeman in Captain America Civil War?
Didn't bother me whatsoever. I know like you had some problems, but bit weird him doing like the fast talking American accent. But he's barely in it. He's barely in it. He didn't bother me.
What was your favourite fight?
I feel that's getting spoiler territory. The whole the whole airport scene is ridiculous. I think it is one of the great blockbuster action sequences. People are going to see it. Like, it is that good, I think.
And which character do you think gets the funniest line in the film?
It's a toss-up between Spider-Man or, surprisingly, Falcon. There's a good couple of Falcon lines where I think are really funny. I
was going to say someone else, but that is spoilery. Excellent, thank you for those 3.
Okay. So, first bit of feedback is from Micah Brown, who's from Indianapolis. I want to hear your thoughts on the Killing Joke animated film and the announcement that it is an R-rated movie. I only know minor details about the storyline, but I know it's quite dark, so the rating doesn't surprise me. I think it's really good that they're making an R-rated movie. It's one of the most horrible, disturbing stories around in superhero land, and yeah, it's cool that they've gone for the R-rated movie. Yeah.
Was The Dark Knight Returns R-rated?
Oh, the animated one. I'm not sure.
It might have been. If not, yeah, it was no big deal. I don't know why anyone would be at all bothered by that.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I think it's
there's kid Batman and there's grown-up Batman.
Yeah,
stuff
and also like the fact that it's animated is independent from whether it's grown-up Batman or kid Batman.
Yeah,
it's to do with the story itself.
I like it. We call it Kid Batman now.
Kid Batman.
Bat Kid. Have you seen Bat Kid?
No, Batmite.
That's a good documentary. This is from The Potato King.
The Batman villain.
What? How did that happen? How did that get in here?
The Potato King? Well, he emailed in the Potato King.
Okay. Does he live in Gotham? So he says, I don't really know too much about Doctor Strange. Is this a Doctor Strange email?
Doctor Strange email.
But someone doesn't really know about Doctor Strange.
But
What's going on?
But does that speak to the larger audience, I think?
Ooh, we'll see what you've done there. Pretty much all I've seen is an awesome animated movie, and from that and the new Doctor Strange trailer. And it got me thinking about who the villain could be in the new movie and how much I don't want it to directly be Dormammu. Is that how I say it?
Some people say Dormammu, but I say Dormammu. That's how I've always read it.
I'm going to do different.
I always think that with some of these comic names, you read them, and in isolation, you don't have cause to like check them against anyone else, and you go, what? Oh, that's how you say it, okay?
Dormammu. Uvavu. Yet. I would so hate it if Marvel was too excited and they threw him into the movie just to have a big bad guy right away instead of doing what I think they should do, which is, yes, show Dormammu a bit in the first Doctor Strange movie, but only as this thing that Strange absolutely can't fight against. And yet, and have that sitting there until a sequel. Sequel should at least sometimes build on the original instead of just telling a different story with the same characters, and holding back Dormammu would be a really good way to do so. That's from the Potato King.
It's like your Joe Manganiello. I think it's an interesting point, because the thing I guess is leveled frequently at these films in general, particularly the Marvel films, is like these kind of weak throwaway villains. But what he's saying is don't squander a good villain in the first movie. But then, obviously, then you need some kind of antagonist for the movie.
Yeah,
it's a bit catch-22.
I don't know. A good superhero movie, as I keep saying on here, needs a good villain. And maybe the only thing that's missing from Batman Begins is a great villain. Like, they kind of flip-flop it a little bit, and that's what they did there. They wanted to establish Batman without establishing one of his best villains to fight. They saved the Joker till the second movie. So that's one way of doing it, but then I always think of The Dark Knight as the far superior film because it's got a great hero and a great villain, whereas I didn't think Batman Begins did, really. So
I did the Rewind Theatre for Doctor Strange, and in that trailer analysis, I suggested the theory that Mads Mikkelsen character is summoning someone else, or summoning something from a different dimension, and that kind of tallies with a quote from a producer on the movie where he disagrees with the Ancient One and wants to let something into our reality. So I wonder whether that's a higher power like Dormammu or Nightmare or Mephisto.
Yeah.
And that way they can have kind of their cake and eat it. Like he's there as a simmering presence, manipulating Mads Mikkelsen, but you won't get them until the sequel. Yeah. So that's kind of an elegant way of doing it, if that's what they're doing.
If all you've watched is the cartoon and the trailer, don't watch the movie that's on YouTube unofficially from about 1978 or something with John Mills in it and some other wacky actors that shouldn't really be in it. It's terrible, but I have watched it all.
Final email, it's from Stuart Fletcher. Last week we were talking about accents and British actors doing American accents and how we can tell if they're good or not. He's emailing all the way from the luxurious exotic lands of Utah. Sounds lovely. I was wondering, you both mentioned that you can tell when Cumberbatch is doing an American accent. Being American, I can tell as well. I was curious though, can you tell when someone else is doing a British accent? No, not an American. Can you tell when a Scotsman like James McAvoy does a British accent for X-Men? Or when Fassbender, an Irishman, does British as well? Just curious. Can you tell? I can definitely tell when Fassbender's doing one because he's all over the place. I think he's a fantastic actor, but in that first X-Men movie, he goes around Europe. Yeah. Because he's German. He was brought up in Germany as well.
Yeah, I interviewed him about it on set, and he was quite confused as to what accent he was doing himself. Because he's like, well, he's travelled round lots. Eric's travelled round lots.
But he's also Polish.
Yeah. I mean, Fassbender, but when he does do an English accent, it's fine. When I think I've got a really good ear. When I don't really like McAvoy's English accent, especially when he does Cockney. His posh is okay.
His Xavier's all right, isn't it?
It's okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Scotsman doing a posh English accent. It's no Cumberbatch. So I think I can tell. Sometimes, even regional accents, like sometimes northern people can't do southern accents and vice versa. Like, for example, the best example that has just come to me is Charlie Hunnam in so from Sons of Anarchy, and he is a Geordie from Newcastle in the north of England, and he plays a Cockney in Green Street, or Green Street Hooligans as it's called in America, and it's terrible. And someone's done a compilation of all his worst bits. It lasts for ages, and it's really, really funny.
But it's really about reputation. Humiliating another mob in a row, or doing something that the other firms get to hear or talk about.
So sometimes British people can't do other British accents or regional accents, but sometimes foreigners can. Like Kate Blanchett is so good at an English accent. She's Australian, obviously. Natalie Portman, I didn't think was bad in. She was bad in V for Vendetta, but she was good in Closer. Sorry, I'm going off on one now. I'm really into this.
You got loads of I didn't know you had all that prepped. There's loads of it. There's loads of examples.
I didn't know you were going to ask. I've thought about it a lot.
In conclusion, we have a lot of accents. It's tricky.
Yeah. Didn't someone else email in today, I thought, and said something about they didn't like Cumberbatches?
They said all they thought was what you thought, which was House.
Just House.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't expect that to end a show like that, but that was good.
Yeah, when I watched that Charlie Hunnam video.
Okay.
So next week, Civil War, we can finally talk about it. It's killing us not being able to.
Yeah.
And it'll be annoying for everyone in America because they've got to wait another week.
Sodom.